warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Tuan Yang Terutama yang penuh Negeri Sarawak, yang amat berbahagia Tuan Datuk di Taib, memanglah layaknya very appropriate today that we have in our presence bersama-sama dengan kita seorang insan yang hadir dari mula-mula dulu, di mana kita bersejarah, menetapkan sejarah, yaitu Hari Kemerdekaan, Hari Self-Government for Sarawak. I'm referring, of course, to our own Pehin III, who is one of the last of that generation who are still with us today. Most of his generation are now no longer with us, but only he remains with a few others who can remember what it was 50 over years ago. On this day, 50 over years ago. We all remember, of course, those who are familiar with the history of Sarawak. On the 100th anniversary of the rule of the Brooke family from 1841 to 1941, we celebrated the centenary of Brooke rule in September of that year. Just 3 months before the Japanese invasion. There was a big celebration in Kuching in particular to celebrate 100 years of Brooke rule. And that was the occasion also when the then Raja issued the so-called 9 cardinal principles, one of which says, and I quote, that the goal of self-government shall always be kept in mind, that the people of Sarawak shall be entrusted in due course with the governance of themselves, and that continuous efforts shall be made to hasten the reaching of this goal by educating them in the obligation, responsibilities, and privileges of citizenship. The Brooke family declared that for the last 100 years, they hold Sarawak in trust for the people of Sarawak, who will eventually rule themselves. That is the meaning of that cardinal principle. Unfortunately, of course, it never came to be, because 3 months later, the Japanese came to invade our fair land. And for 3 years and 8 months, we were under the brutal military rule of the Japanese. Our people suffered, our people were rendered miserable, our rendered were cowed, and we become a very subject. But then, after 3 years and 8 months, came the so-called liberation by Australian forces, Commonwealth forces, who defeated the Japanese and secured the surrender. The people of Sarawak then hoped that the promise made in 1941 would slowly be fulfilled. But it was unfortunately not to be. The Brooke family reneged on that promise. They do not keep what they undertake to do. And for some financial consideration, some substantive financial consideration, they agreed to cede Sarawak as a British colony in 1946, leading to many political differences, controversies, and even leading to violence. But as the years go by, the British government in London, under Harold Macmillan, declared the so-called East of Suez policy. And the colonial government in London will withdraw from all their possessions east of Suez. That was in the early 1950s and so on. And one of the reasons for this withdrawal of empire was to free Sarawak, to teach Sarawak how to govern themselves. So the governor then, Anthony Abdul, was instructed to initiate the proceedings towards self-government, formation of political parties, and so on and so forth. In the meantime, there was a proposal from the then Prime Minister of Malaya, Tunku Abdul Rahman, for a federation or the coming together of Singapore, North Borneo, Brunei, Sarawak, and Semenanjung. At the same time, there was a plebiscite, there was an assessment of the wishes of the people of Sarawak by the Global Commission. But through to their promise, there was a change of government from the Colonial Supreme Council to a locally chaired council, otherwise known as the State Cabinet. The Constitution was accordingly amended, or repealed, or amended again to suit the occasion to enable Sarawak to become a self-governing state. Self-government, to enjoy self-government, that means to rule yourself. And this was initiated and came into being this day, 53 years ago, in 1963, 22nd of July. And that is why we are today celebrating that occasion when Sarawak was given self-government. Kita akan memerintah kita diri sendiri. They were sworn in, the state cabinet was sworn in before Alexander Waddell, the then colonial governor, who was still governor at that time, led by Stephen Kalong Lincoln, James Wong Kimby, Teo Kui Seng, Pangeran Kidney Awang Anu, Abdul Taib bin Mahmud, and 3 ex-official members, if I remember, Shaw, Taib, and Pepper. That was the first Sarawak cabinet, and they had a meeting on that very day, and it was chaired by a Sarawakian, Stephen Kalong Lincoln, and not the colonial governor. This is a symbolism, this is a sign that we are now on our own. That we are recognized as a people who can govern themselves. And then, having agreed to the formation of Malaysia, having agreed to be party to the formation of Malaysia, we set the machinery on course so that it can be formed on the 31st of August of that year. Unfortunately, of course, over the objections of President Sukarno and President Macapagal, it has to be postponed, according to the so-called Matrilindo Accord, by another 2 weeks. That is why we chose 16 September as the formation of Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, we exceeded, and it can be said that after we became an independent state within the federation declared by our Chief Minister on 16th September, then and truly can we say we are an independent state within the Federation of Malaysia. The governor was sworn in that morning to Nabang Pehin, morning of 16th September. The day before, Alexander Waddell, the colonial governor, left Sarawak. On this very spot, this stretch of river, here, if you look across the river at Pangkalan Batu, that is an historic spot. This stretch of the river has always observed historical events in Sarawak. Istana is here, Fort Margareta is here, the Square Court is here, Central Padang is back there, the courthouse is all there. Those are the historical buildings which define the history of Sarawak. So now, as of 16th September, we have our own governor, our own cabinet, and we adopted the democratic system of government. That is what we are celebrating today. That is why we have become one people with dignity, no more the subject of some colonial power. The change of status therefore means we are fully pledged citizens instead of just being a subject people. I remember in those days, which I can still remember, that if you had a passport in those days in colonial time, you are not described as warga negara itu ataupun negara ini. You are described as a British subject. So if you are a subject, it means you are under somebody else. You are subjected by somebody else. That has been changed. We are no longer subject of London. That is the change of status, and on our own within Malaysia, we have developed this country, this state, 10, 20 times over when compared to what it was 50 over years ago. You cannot deny that Malaysia has brought us all these benefits over the years of the century. It might not be enough as we expect today, but we are still one country trying to improve everyone. Let me say here that I agree with the sentiment, the state government agree with the sentiments expressed by Sarawak or Sarawakians. But we do not agree to secession from the Federation. We will not entertain such idea. And the claim for referendum is a way of getting there. We will not approve of that course of action. We believe in full autonomy for Sarawak under the Constitution. We believe in devolution of more federal power to the state, about which we are now negotiating with the federal government, not only with our autonomous status, but also at the acquisition of more federal power to be delegated to Sarawak under the synonym devolution of power. Because we are not just a state within the Federation, we are a founding state of the Federation. We are party to the formation, and that, as it says in the Cobol Commission report, this shall be a federation of equal, not domination by Kuala Lumpur or some other party. We have not ceased to be a British colony controlled by London, just simply be controlled by another power. We must therefore insist on our autonomy. It will serve two purposes. We are sure of our defense, our foreign affairs, our security to be taken care of by the federal government at a very big expense to them. But with regard to local and localized matters and other matters, especially financial matters, we can be autonomous. So that is the policy. So let me repeat here again. Let me say it again. That while we sympathize with the sentiment expressed, there is a groundswell of opinion in Sarawak for insisting on autonomy and so on. We subscribe, we welcome that, but not to the extent of seceding for the federation. We are Malaysia once, we are Malaysia now, and we shall be Malaysia forever in years to come. With regard to the request for public holiday, we will consider that matter favorably. I will make a decision on this matter before the end of the year. I do not wish to have too many holidays lah. Ini Sarawak macam-macam holiday, tambah itu, tambah ini. And if it falls on a Sunday, you put extra day. It is just an excuse to have a holiday. The answer is no. But if it is to commemorate our history, our effort, our freedom as a people, we will consider it with great favor. So wait until the end of the year before I can make the announcement. So ladies and gentlemen, we are now also over and above insisting on our autonomy with regard to the 18 points, negotiating with the federal government to allocate more powers back to Sarawak in terms of land transport, in terms of land transfer, in terms of other things. We have set up a committee chaired by the KSN and our SUK and others to detail out the details of where we can devolve certain federal powers back, because we are also the executive authority to implement those policies in Sarawak. So rest assured, it will be taken care of in the years to come. But on this great occasion, it is never too late to celebrate, to be proud of us being Malaysian, being Sarawakian, and coming of age for Sarawak. We are no longer an ignorant happy-go-lucky people. We are still happy-go-lucky, yes, but we are also responsible. And we have shown that we can do things on our own without somebody's assistance, that we can achieve things. Sarawak boleh in the years to come and in the years to come. So ladies and gentlemen, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang hormati sekalian, kita senantiasa membelakan nasib negeri Sarawak dalam persekutuan. Kita senantiasa akan membelakan kuasa-kuasa yang diberi kepada kita dalam perlembagaan negeri Malaysia ini. Dan kita senantiasa di pada masa begini menyanyikan Ibu Pertiwiku dan negaraku sama-sama. On this occasion, I noticed at the end of the ceremony, we will be singing Ibu Pertiwiku, and don't forget negaraku also. Make it a point to sing both, because our loyalty is to both the Federation of Malaysia and of Sarawak, and there is no conflict between the two. So let us today resolve once again to be proud of Sarawak, bangga dengan negeri kita, bangga dengan apa yang kita telah capai, dan berharapan besar untuk mencapai lebih-lebih lagi pembangunan di masa hadapan, terutama sekalinya Pen Borneo Highway yang akan membukakan bumi kenalan ini for pembangunan. The Pen Borneo Highway is the single most expensive single big project, engineering project in the whole history of Sarawak. And over the 5 or 6 years' time, it will be achieved. We have started on it already. It will make a great impact on the economy of this country and on the prosperity of Sarawak, just like the North-South Highway and make great economic impact in West Malaysia. What they have in West Malaysia, we also want to have it in Sarawak. We will not be left behind. We don't want to be left behind. We can wait, of course, but not another 50 years. Not another 50 years. We are getting impatient. And my government will try to fulfill this hope the best way we can, provided the people keep on supporting us so that we have a big voice, a resonant voice to say that all of Sarawak is behind this request for more economy, more powers, etc. So with that in mind and with that hope, we shall prosper in the years to come. Hidup Sarawak. Hidup Merdeka, hidup Malaysia. Sekian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.